Hey, Vinyl Community, Jeff back again. This is going to be part two of my finds at the new record store over in my local area that just opened up recently. And yeah, in the first one I covered what I considered my greatest finds, which was some pretty cool stuff with the Triumph and the Marillion stuff. But now, here's how it works out. When my wife and I've mentioned this before, my wife goes with me a lot of times to record stores. And, you know, she's just pleasing me. She really is. I mean, she has some interest, but not a lot. She doesn't collect stuff like that, but she does go as a second set of eyes at times. If there's someplace close by that she'll go, she may go shopping somewhere else while she leaves me there, which happens in some of the stores. But in a lot of cases, if we're just going there for specific reasons, she will do some searching, like she did in South Carolina. She found some stuff, so she did the same thing this time. We went to the store, and the store has your typical, the racks above your waist, you know, are the good stuff. And then the stuff down at your knees are the typical dollar. In this case, the store had like a whole section of dollars. They had some that were like $3. They had some that were up to $5. And then they had some miscellaneous boxes that were like they were still kind of in the cheaper range, but they were soundtracks and quirky albums. So she immediately went over, sat on the floor, and started flipping through the dollar bin. And every once in a while I'd hear her say something from behind the bins. I'm like, huh, what? And I'd go over there, and she'd ask me a question about certain albums, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then I'd go back to what I was doing. So we're hitting both sides of the stores. And so this particular video is going to be about the things that she found. And one of them in particular, I'm like, well, okay, fine. And she... And then we got home, and I'll show it to you. It's a K-Tel record, right? She's like, you gotta buy a K-Tel record. It's got all kinds of killer songs. I'm like, I have a K-Tel record. You know, they tend to be highly compressed and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, I'm thinking, hey, it's $1, right? And I looked at it, and I'm like, it's got some stuff on it that I know. So, you know, it's fun at times to pick up these things. Now, I got it home, and I realized this is Super Gold Hits, and it says right here, Volume 2. The actual set for this is a 2-record set. And then they had sometimes split it up and sold them as individuals, and we got the Volume 2 of the individual. So, okay, so not a big deal. Here's, you know, it's got a lot of songs that we knew on it. So we got home. It was in pretty clean condition. I gave it a minor cleaning. It's got Only Women Bleed by Alice Cooper, you know, and it's got some songs I didn't know. It's got Hall & Oates, we know that. That's the Way I Like It, Casey and the Sunshine Band. So, you know, this is I believe this was like a 1977-ish find. So we got home and we threw it on. So and she's like, well, let's listen to the records we bought. That's kind of a first, where she came in here with her computer and sat down in this chair while I'm at my desk, and we played the records that we bought. And we played this one, and a song came on that immediately sent a weird vibe through me. It was like, whoa, and the song started sending, it was almost kind of like flashy flashbacks or memories. And then it dawned on me what the song was. I had not heard the song in decades. And so here's the story for this one. And I told her, as I got to pondering this, and as I started singing along pretty much all the words, and I remembered this song, it dawned on me that as a preteen, this would have been in the mid-70s, that this was one of about 4 songs that really struck me as a kid, and that have stuck with me for all these decades. This particular one somehow got buried and totally forgotten. The song I'm talking about is by Austin Roberts, called Rocky. It's the 3rd song in this album. See, it's getting me kind of just, and then I got to thinking, you know, of the 4 songs that were very, very meaningful to me as a kid, they're all about losing someone and death. And I'm thinking, I must have had a pretty morbid childhood to where these key songs that are ingrained in me were about, you know, death in some form. And this is the 70s, and it's like, why were they singing so much about losing? The other songs are Run Joey Run by David Geddes. That's 1975. You know, the girl's dad's coming after the guy, after her boyfriend, Run Joey, and then the girl jumps in front of him and she gets shot. So it's like, such a sad song. That song just used to freak me out as a kid, and, you know, has stuck with me. Seasons in the Sun always has been there. it just brings tears to my eyes that this person, who's at Terry Jacks, 73, this guy's dying. And that song, once I realized, even as a kid, I realized this guy was dying, has always struck me. And Billy Don't Be a Hero is one of the ones that came back to me. I'm like, that was the other one I used to love that song about a guy who goes to war, dies, don't be a hero, die, whatever. Paper Lace, that was a 74 song. So in the mid-70s, a lot of my favorite pop songs, before I discovered Kiss and everything, or around the same time probably, because they were still favorites even in the later 70s. But it seemed like I gravitated towards a lot of songs that had to do with losing a loved one or somebody dying. And Rocky is one that I totally had forgot about until this song came on, and it was like a flood. And I'm just like, the song's about a guy meets a girl, they get together, and it builds and then it decreases. They get together, they have a kid, she dies, and then it goes back to him being alone. And it's like so wild. But it's an upbeat song, unlike some of the other ones. It's a really upbeat song. Anyway, that really struck me. Now there are some songs in here that I don't know. We didn't know some of these songs by Gladys Knight and stuff there, And as we got into the second side, I'm like, these songs are a little more obscure. So I'm assuming this is Volume 2. Volume 1 probably had all the major hits, and these are the leftovers. But we didn't find Volume 1. So, I wasn't as familiar with a lot of these. Average White Band's Pick Up the Pieces. I knew that one. But I don't even know some of these bands. There is a David Geddy song on here, The Last Game of the Season. Anyway, but that was fun, and when we listened to this, it just made me pause, and I thought, wow. This one, she had no idea. She said, we know these people. In Harmony 2 had no clue, but look, Billy Joel, Bruce Springsteen, James Taylor, Kenny Loggins, Carly and Lucy Simon, Crystal Gale, Dr. John, all that. No idea what it was. She's like, it's cute, it's a kid's album, it's for $1. Looked it up, found out Harmony 1 was by Sesame Street. Harmony 2 also, the money raised by this was funding various kids programs. Then it turns out all these songs were written for this album. None of these songs were on other people's albums. Bruce Springsteen, Santa Claus Coming to Town, later appeared on compilations, as like bonuses and stuff like that. But it wasn't like it came. These are not songs that came from their albums. Nobody Knows But Me, Billy Joel. I mean, apparently these songs were recorded specifically for this album, and I didn't see, aside from later archived catalog CDs, box sets and stuff, they would appear in there, but it didn't look like I could tell that hardly any of these ever appeared on albums by these particular artists that were in regular rotation. And this is one, I don't even know how she noticed it, because it has no cover. It's got a black label, but she did notice that it Styx, Paradise Theater, and she's like, I don't think I even noticed this. She said, I had a copy of this. She said, I had a copy of this as a kid. I do not remember it having this etching on it, if you can even see that. It's more like a laser. It's got the record still plays. It's not an etching in the sense where it's, etched like that, but it's a holographic colored thing on there on the second side. She's like, I had this album, and I do not recall mine having that. I didn't stop to look this up and see were there only certain versions that had it, or were they all like that and we just didn't notice it as kids. But she's like, for $1. I'm like, well, I don't play the cover. Sure, I don't have a copy of Paradise Theater. So we went ahead and bought that for $1. And then the other, she's like, let's get this. It's the Best of Messina and Kenny Loggins of Messina. So we saw Kenny Loggins last summer. So it's like, she's like, we know some of these songs. It's got the Pooh song and stuff like that. So she's like, let's grab it for $1. So we grabbed it for $1. So we went through a lot of that. I did see they had ELP, and I'm like, ELP for $1? But it was in really rough shape. And a lot of the albums there was a lot of decent titles in there that she pulled aside, and then we checked them. There was a Kiss album with no cover, Dress to Kill, but it was banged up. So that a lot of times you find stuff down there that's probably hardly playable. But she did find some that were good and playable. I didn't get a chance to go through there because, I'm going to be looking for stuff that's probably more obscure that she would not know. And so I might have missed out. So maybe next time I will spend some time doing that. There was a section that had like $3 to $5 albums. She was done with the $1 section. I was done with all the regular sections. We were sitting down. They had some chairs in there. And she's like, well, go check that section, because you can see in the $5 section there was like Pat Benatar and stuff, and I thought, I've done enough flipping. I don't really want any of that stuff. She's like, go look in that stuff. And so I started flipping, and I did find something for under $5, and I'll show that in my next video. That's it for this one. Thanks a lot for watching. Rock on and rock hard.